Forests have always been places of mystery. Their dense, shadowy canopies hide secrets older than time itself. But some forests go beyond the natural, venturing into the supernatural. These are the places where footsteps vanish without a trace, where cries echo with no source, and where the woods themselves seem alive. In this script, we explore the eerie, bone-chilling stories of 3 haunted forests where people have mysteriously disappeared. Prepare yourself for an unsettling journey into the darkness. A forest known as the Suicide Forest. Aokigahara is more than just an expanse of trees at the foot of Mount Fuji. It's a labyrinth of mossy trails and deathly quiet, a place so eerily still that even the birds avoid it. A history of shadows. Centuries ago, desperate families abandoned loved ones here, in the grim practice of Übersut. Legends say the spirits of the abandoned haunt the forest, their sorrow trapped in the soil. Today, Aokigahara's tragedy continues as a site for suicides. Signs urging people to reconsider hang at the forest's edge, but the air inside feels heavy with despair. Historically, the forest was tied to the ancient practice of Übersut, a grim tradition where the elderly or infirm were abandoned in remote places during times of famine or hardship. This cruel act was often seen as a way to reduce the burden on struggling families. Legends say the spirits of those left behind to die in the forest linger, their sorrow and anger permeating the dense woods. In more recent history, Aokigahara has become notorious as a location for suicides. Official records estimate that hundreds of people take their lives in the forest each year, though authorities have stopped publishing exact numbers to reduce its association with tragedy. This grim notoriety has earned the forest the nickname Suicide Forest. Signs posted at the entrances plead with visitors to reconsider, urging them to think of their families and seek help. Volunteers regularly patrol the area to assist anyone in distress and to search for remains. It is said that the spirits of those who died there never truly leave, adding to the forest's eerie reputation. The vanishing trails. Aokigahara's dense growth and labyrinthine trails make it incredibly easy to get lost. Even experienced hikers have been known to vanish without a trace. Local authorities report dozens of disappearances each year. While many bodies are eventually found, others vanish entirely, leaving behind whispers and rumors of supernatural involvement. One particularly chilling story dates back to 1998, when a group of university students entered the forest to film a documentary. The group consisted of 6 students who were fascinated by the forest's dark lore. They ventured deep into Aokigahara, carrying cameras, tents, and supplies. However, only 2 students emerged from the forest several days later, traumatized and unable to recount everything they experienced. The survivors told authorities that during their stay, they heard distant sobbing and the sound of footsteps circling their campsite at night. Despite their efforts to find the source of the sounds, they saw no one. When the group tried to leave the forest, they found themselves disoriented. The trails they had marked seemed to shift, leading them in circles. The belongings of the missing 4 students were discovered scattered deep within the forest, but their bodies were never found. This story became infamous, fueling speculation about paranormal forces at work. One of the most puzzling aspects of Aokigahara is its effect on navigational tools. Visitors often report that compasses and GPS devices malfunction within the forest. This phenomenon is attributed to the high concentration of magnetic iron in the volcanic soil, which interferes with electronic and magnetic equipment. However, some believe there is more to it than science can explain. A local mountaineer, Kenji Takahashi, recounted his unsettling experience in 2010. An experienced hiker, he entered Aokigahara with a reliable GPS device and backup compass. Despite his preparations, his compass began spinning erratically after only an hour, and his GPS displayed contradictory directions. Kenji described a growing sense of unease as he wandered deeper into the forest, feeling as if he was being watched. He eventually retraced his steps using trail markers, but later discovered that he had been just meters away from a known exit point multiple times without realizing it. Kenji believes that the forest plays tricks on the mind, using its natural anomalies to disorient visitors. Aokigahara is unnervingly silent. The dense trees block out much of the wind, and the volcanic soil absorbs sound, creating an oppressive stillness. Many visitors describe hearing whispers or faint voices, even when they are alone. These auditory hallucinations are often attributed to the psychological effects of isolation and fear, but others claim they are the voices of the spirits who dwell in the forest. One tale frequently shared by locals is that of a man who entered the forest in 2015 with the intention of taking his own life. After several hours of wandering, he reportedly heard a voice calling his name. Startled, he turned around to find no one there. The voice persisted, growing louder and more insistent until he abandoned his plans and fled the forest. The man later shared his story, convinced that the voice belonged to a loved one who had passed away, urging him to leave. Survivors' stories. Survivors who have ventured into Aokigahara and lived to tell the tale often describe a profound sense of dread. One such account comes from a woman named Aya, who entered the forest in 2018 after a devastating breakup. She planned to spend the night there, hoping to clear her mind. As darkness fell, she felt an overwhelming sense of despair and heard faint weeping nearby. She attempted to follow the sound, thinking someone might need help, but found nothing. When she tried to return to her campsite, she realized she was hopelessly lost. Aya wandered for hours, eventually stumbling upon a clearing filled with tattered clothing and personal belongings. The sight terrified her, but it also gave her a burst of determination. Using her phone's faint signal, she managed to call for help. Rescuers found her hours later, dehydrated and shaken. Aya later described feeling as though the forest itself was trying to claim her, pulling her deeper into its shadows. Folklore and superstition. The stories surrounding Aokigahara are steeped in Japanese folklore. It is believed that yurei, restless spirits, haunt the forest, seeking closure or revenge. These spirits are said to be drawn to those with unresolved emotions, leading them astray or driving them to despair. Locals tell tales of ghostly apparitions, shadowy figures that flit between the trees, and sudden cold spots that chill the bones. Some spiritualists believe that the forest's energy is influenced by the collective sorrow of those who died there. They warn against taking anything from the forest, as it is believed that objects can carry the curse of the deceased. Even seasoned rescue workers who frequent the forest speak of an oppressive atmosphere that lingers long after they leave. A place of mystery and tragedy. Aokigahara remains a place where life and death seem to blur. Despite its haunting reputation, it continues to draw visitors, some seeking solace, others driven by morbid curiosity. Authorities have implemented measures to guide tourists and discourage suicides, but the forest's dark allure persists. In the end, Aokigahara is a reminder of the thin line between the natural and the supernatural. Its dense woods and eerie silence hide stories that may never be fully understood. Those who enter the Sea of Trees should tread carefully, for not everyone who ventures in will find their way out. If Aokigahara is silent sorrow, Hoia is sheer unease. Known as the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, this forest twists everything: its trees, its time, and your sanity. Nestled in the mysterious region of Transylvania, the Hoia Forest is infamous for its twisted trees and unsettling aura. Known as the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, this forest has baffled scientists, terrified locals, and intrigued paranormal enthusiasts. Its reputation stems from bizarre phenomena, eerie disappearances, and unexplained occurrences that defy logic. The clearing that defies life. At the heart of Hoia lies a circular clearing where no vegetation grows. The soil has been extensively tested, but researchers have found no explanation for its inability to sustain life. Some speculate that the clearing is a portal to another dimension, while others believe it is a place of supernatural energy. The unnatural sterility of the soil has given rise to countless theories, but no conclusive answers have emerged. Visitors to the clearing often report an overwhelming sense of unease, as if they are being watched by unseen eyes. The 1968 UFO incident, one of the most documented events in the forest's history, occurred in 1968 when Emil Barnea, a military technician, captured photographs of a UFO hovering over the trees. These images remain some of the clearest and most credible pieces of evidence in UFO research. Following this incident, sightings of strange lights and energy surges became increasingly common. Witnesses have described glowing orbs darting through the forest and inexplicable electrical disturbances. Paranormal investigators believe that these anomalies point to the presence of extraterrestrial activity or dimensional rifts. The vanished shepherd. The forest's chilling reputation predates modern accounts, with its most famous tale dating back to the 15th century. According to legend, a shepherd and his flock of 200 sheep entered the forest one day and were never seen again. Despite extensive searches, no trace of the shepherd or his animals was ever found. Locals believe the forest consumed them, and the tale has served as a warning to those who dared to venture too far into its depths. Even today, villagers avoid the forest after sunset, fearing they might meet the same fate. The hiker who lost time. A more recent story highlights the forest's ability to distort time and perception. In 2007, a woman named Daniela visited Hoia with a group of friends. While exploring the forest, she became separated from the group and wandered alone. Daniela later recounted hearing distant laughter and voices calling her name, luring her deeper into the trees. When her friends finally found her near the infamous clearing, she was disoriented. To her shock, her watch indicated that only 15 minutes had passed, even though she believed she had been lost for hours. This phenomenon of lost time is one of the forest's most disturbing mysteries. An enigma wrapped in fear. The Hoia Forest remains an enigma, a place where the natural and supernatural seem to collide. Its eerie clearing, documented UFO sightings, and tales of vanishings have cemented its status as one of the world's most haunted forests. Whether these phenomena are caused by science or the paranormal, one thing is clear. Hoia is a place where reality and fear intertwine. Unlike the vast forests of Aokigahara and Hoia, the Devil's Tramping Ground in North Carolina is deceptively small, but its curse is anything but. This barren circle, approximately 12 meters in diameter, has baffled locals and visitors for generations. The ground here is devoid of life. Grass refuses to grow, and even weeds seem repelled. Legends claim that the devil himself walks this circle every night, plotting his dark deeds and leaving behind a cursed, lifeless mark. The curse of the circle. The earliest stories about the Devil's Tramping Ground date back to the 18th century, when settlers first noticed the peculiar patch of earth. Attempts to cultivate the land failed miserably. Seeds would sprout elsewhere but wither in the circle. Livestock avoided the area, and hunters reported an unnatural silence when near the circle. One story often repeated by locals tells of a farmer in the 1930s who tried to use the land. Determined to disprove the superstitions, he planted crops directly in the circle. But no matter what he sowed, nothing grew. After a season of failed harvests, the farmer abandoned the project, claiming that the soil was cursed by the devil himself. Campers who have dared to spend the night in the circle often report strange and terrifying experiences. Tents are mysteriously moved or torn apart, personal belongings disappear, and strange noises, growls, whispers, and footsteps are frequently heard. Many leave the site in the middle of the night, unable to endure the oppressive atmosphere. The missing backpackers. Perhaps the most chilling modern tale associated with the Devil's Tramping Ground occurred in 1985, when two friends, Richard and Jason, decided to camp there to debunk the legends. They were both avid skeptics and experienced hikers, confident in their ability to handle any situation. The first few hours of their stay were uneventful. They joked about the eerie silence and took photographs of the circle, which appeared unremarkable in the daylight. But as night fell, the atmosphere shifted. Jason later recounted hearing faint whispers and footsteps, as if someone or something was circling their tent. The whispers grew louder, and the two friends decided to investigate. Armed with flashlights, they scoured the nearby woods but found no one. Around midnight, neighbors living miles away reported hearing blood-curdling screams coming from the direction of the circle. Assuming it was a prank or drunken campers, no one investigated. The next morning, Jason was found wandering along a nearby road, disoriented and unable to recall much of what had happened. His hands were scratched and bloody, as if he had been clawing at something. Richard, however, was nowhere to be found. A search party combed the area for days, but it wasn't until months later that his remains were discovered deep in a different forest, miles from the Devil's Tramping Ground. The cause of death was never determined, and the circumstances surrounding the event remain a mystery. Jason refused to discuss the incident in detail, leading many to speculate that he had encountered something too horrifying to recount. The eerie lights and shadows. In 2012, a paranormal investigation team decided to monitor the Devil's Tramping Ground overnight. Armed with high-tech cameras, thermal imaging equipment, and audio recorders, they hoped to capture definitive evidence of the site's strange phenomena. The team reported feeling an overwhelming sense of unease as they set up their equipment. As night fell, the area seemed to grow unnaturally quiet, with even the chirping of insects ceasing. Around midnight, the cameras began picking up strange anomalies. Glowing orbs of light floated in and out of the circle, darting between the trees. Shadowy figures appeared to move along the edges of the clearing, though no one was physically present. One investigator described the experience as utterly chilling. She felt as though she was being watched from multiple directions. At one point, her thermal camera detected a heat signature within the circle, shaped like a man, yet no one was there. The figure disappeared seconds later, leaving the team shaken. Audio recordings from the night revealed faint growls and whispers. A deep, guttural laugh was heard at one point, though it wasn't audible to the investigators at the time. Despite reviewing the footage and audio extensively, no rational explanation could be found. The team left the site convinced that the Devil's Tramping Ground was a hotspot for supernatural activity, a place where time stands still. Many visitors to the Devil's Tramping Ground describe an odd sense of disorientation. Watches stop working, phones lose battery inexplicably, and some claim to lose track of time altogether. One camper recounted a bizarre experience in 2017. After entering the circle at dusk, she felt as though only an hour had passed. When she returned to her car, however, she realized it was nearly dawn. Her phone showed no signs of use, and her flashlight battery, fully charged earlier, was completely drained. These distortions of time and energy have led some to speculate that the Devil's Tramping Ground may be a place where the veil between worlds is thin. Paranormal experts suggest that the site could be a vortex or a portal, drawing in energy from another dimension. Skeptics argue that the phenomena could be attributed to natural electromagnetic fields or psychological suggestion, but no definitive proof exists. The stories surrounding the Devil's Tramping Ground have been passed down for generations, each version adding to its mystique. According to one legend, the devil himself walks the circle nightly, pacing as he plans his next act of evil. His footsteps are said to burn the ground, leaving it barren for eternity. Another tale claims that the circle is the site of a Native American ritual ground, cursed after a violent conflict. The spirits of the fallen warriors are believed to guard the area, ensuring that no life takes root. Still others believe that witches use the circle for dark ceremonies, summoning forces beyond human comprehension. Despite its dark reputation, the Devil's Tramping Ground continues to draw curious visitors. Some come seeking proof of the supernatural, while others are simply intrigued by the mystery. Local authorities discourage overnight camping but acknowledge that the legends are a significant part of the area's cultural heritage. Those who dare to visit the Devil's Tramping Ground often leave with more questions than answers. Is it truly a cursed site? Or does its legend persist due to the power of suggestion? Whatever the truth may be, the barren circle remains a haunting reminder of the unknown, and a place where reality and myth blur. Forests have long been places of mystery and fear, but some seem to hold more than just natural beauty. Aokigahara, Hoia, and the Devil's Tramping Ground are not mere figments of imagination. Their dark reputations are built on real events, tangible evidence, and the chilling accounts of those who have ventured too far. These woods serve as a reminder of nature's power and the mysteries that remain beyond our understanding. Dare to visit them, but remember, not everyone comes back.